Welcome to r/Am I the A-hole, where we get to publicly humiliate people online. Woo! Am I the a-hole for giving my son non-vegan food behind my wife's back? I am 32 male, and my wife is 35 female. We have been married for 8 years and have a 12-year-old son together. About 6 years ago, my wife decided to go vegan. She was sent the documentary Dominion by a vegan friend of hers, and ever since has said non-vegan food is revolting and refuses to eat it. After a long conversation, I agreed to go vegetarian and be vegan in the house and around her, which she was happy with. She also decided our son should be vegan, which after seeing a dietitian, I also agreed with. Things have been fine with this arrangement, until a few months ago when I began finding wrappers from non-vegan candy and even burgers from McDonald's in my son's school bag, which he had been buying with chore money. I had a conversation with my son, and he confessed he felt lonely and excluded eating vegan around his friends, and that they always had much better candy than he did, and it wasn't fair. I decided I didn't want him spending his pocket money on snacks and throwing out the vegan snacks we actually brought him instead of buying games, etc. It just made no sense. But I also know the way my wife feels about non-vegan products. So I began buying my son what he wanted on our way to football practice instead. Long story short, my wife recently found out what has been going on and completely flipped out. She called me an animal abuse enabler and a few other names and said I was corrupting our son. Now she is not speaking to me. Our son panicked, and I told her I had bought the snacks for him and he didn't know they weren't vegan. I don't blame him for that, he just doesn't want to be in trouble with mum. Am I the a-hole here? It's tricky because I don't know the dynamic between these two people. Like, is the wife unrealistically angry all the time about vegan stuff? Or is the husband, just like being a bit too strict? You don't know the real situation here, so it's so hard to figure out an idea. I guess it would make sense if the husband decided to hide it from the wife in case she was gonna flip out, which she did, but I think the fact that you kept it from her didn't help. She was gonna get upset because it's like you guys are doing it behind her back, which doesn't seem right to me. But I don't know, I feel like the son should be able to figure out for his own whether he can eat the food. See, I don't even know, there's so many figures here that just doesn't make sense. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing someone by pretending to be Japanese? Here's a backstory. I'm female and 20 years old. I have a Japanese name even though I'm not ethnically Japanese. My mum is Korean and my dad is British. They met and fell in love while studying in Japan and had me there after marrying. We lived there until I was about 14 before moving to the States. This will be important later on. Today, a group of my roommate's friends came over to study with her, and I happened to be in the living room when they arrived. They were introducing themselves to me, and when I said my name, I have a pretty common Japanese girl name, so it's pretty hard to be mistaken about the origin, and one of the girls made a disgusted face and laughed at me saying that was so dumb. She said that she was Japanese American, and I was culturally appropriating her country as a white person. I tried to explain that I lived in Japan for a while, and that was why, but she kept insisting I was lying, and that if I was telling the truth, I would be able to speak the language. Since she put it like that, I started talking to her in Japanese, basically explaining where I lived there and asking which prefecture her parents were from, etc. She ends up stuttering through a sentence in an awkward manner before leaving in a huff. Later, my roommate told me I embarrassed her by pretending to be more Japanese than an actual Japanese person and appropriating the culture, and her friend expected an apology. My roommate doesn't think I did anything wrong, but now I feel like kind of bad. Am I the a-hole here? No, you are not. It doesn't matter if you're not ethnically Japanese. If you grew up there, you were born there, and you lived there for 14 years, you're a Japanese citizen. You are a Japanese person. Especially if you can speak more than the person getting angry at you. That's just silly. Am I the a-hole for turning around and going back to my parents with my baby when I got home because my husband let his homeless brother move in and everyone had lice? Well, that's a very extreme title. Okay, let's get into this. I recently went to see my parents with my newborn. It was just for the long weekend, so my husband stayed home with our 3 older children, 7, 5, and 3 years old. My husband called me when I was out of town to let me know his brother needed a place to crash. I said that he should give him a ride to a shelter or something because it was a bad idea to let his brother in our home. He has stolen from us before. When I got home, there were 5 very itchy people in the house. I immediately got back in my car and went to my parents' house. My husband was calling me the whole time because he needed help dealing with the lice. I didn't call him back until the baby was settled in at my folks' place. I told him the pharmacy had shampoo and comb for lice. He said he needed me to come home and take care of it. I noped. I said that he let his brother in our home against my wishes. His brother gave them all lice. I also reminded him that when our oldest got lice from kindergarten, he didn't help me at all. I hate lice. They freak me out. I dealt with it because I had to. This time, it's on him. He said that he would have to use up his sick days to take care of this. I said tough crap. He did it. He took his brother to a shelter, he deloused himself and the kids, and then he spent 3 days cleaning all the bedding and the furniture. He called me every day begging for help. I did not come home until his mother confirmed that everything was done. He is angry that I stuck him with all that by himself. I know I should have helped, but it was just too much. I'm still not 100% from the baby. It was just too much. Look, I don't even know about this post. What do you guys think? Are they the a-hole here or not? I hate lice too. I don't know. Am I the a-hole for suggesting my wife lower her standards so that she'll be less overwhelmed? My wife is 37 female and I am 38 male. We have 3 kids, 12, 10, and 8. She is in a constant state of overwhelm and very easily irritated, constantly complaining how it's all too much. I'm of course happy to help and do my fair share for the kids or the household, but it's never enough because her standards are too damn high. She insists one of us has to be up at 6:45 every morning to make sure the kids are ready and make the bus, which comes at 7:45. I told her they're old enough to not need that much help already. They can all dress themselves and pour themselves cereal and milk. There's no reason we have to be up. She says that cereal isn't a good enough breakfast, and they need something more substantial, especially the 12-year-old, and that the 10-year-old has ADHD and will definitely struggle without help in the morning, and anyway, she wants to see them off and kiss them goodbye for the day. So she gets up, I don't, then she gets upset that I never give her a morning off, when all she needs to do is just take the morning off when she wants and let the kids handle themselves. Okay, just a pause here. Has this guy never heard of commas or periods? These sentences are so long and I'm running out of breath. Also, she is super strict about screen time during the week and is exhausted and snappy from arguing about it with the kids and upset I don't support her strict limit of 2 hours a day. I say, as long as homework is done, why not until bed? She says it's not healthy for them. They need to play outside or with games and toys, read some books, just entertain themselves in more ways than one. I agree, they should enjoy other things, but not seeing why we have to make such a rigid limit. She also likes to get out on weekends and do stuff like zoos, museums, etc. But then complains about the planning for the outing and how grouchy the youngest gets by the end of it. And again, I say let's just chill at home and voila! You've cut the work. I'm an engaged and active parent. Well, it's not sounding like it. Just a heads up. I'm not trying to get out of it, but I don't think I should have to help my wife dig herself out of her own self-created holes. She creates the stress for herself and then turns to me to alleviate it, which I think is unfair. Am I the a-hole for telling her she needs to do less and then she won't need this level of help? I'm gonna be honest. It sounds like she just wants the best for your kids. She's not really making unrealistic expectations. She just wants the best for her kids, and you are a father. Like, you guys have kids together. It's a teamwork kind of thing. Why not cooperate? Am I the a-hole for shutting down a girl's attempt to diagnose me with an eating disorder? I lost my left leg when I was very young from a hospital-acquired infection. I have a prosthetic leg which I use for walking, and another one for running and exercise. When I was on my parents' health insurance growing up, I got refitted regularly as I grew up. Now I'm too old to be on my parents' insurance, and while my company's insurance is considered very good, getting a new leg or getting adjustments for body weight changes are still expensive. I expect to be paying a fortune if I get pregnant. So I try my best to stay the same weight, and if I gain some weight, I can immediately feel it becoming less comfortable to walk. Anyway, a friend's girlfriend and I were talking, and she began remarking on how I'm not eating much. We were out to dinner, and I was just having a soup and salad, and everyone else was having baby back ribs. I'd stolen a few of my BF's plate, but generally, I was trying to eat light. I said I was trying to lose a few pounds, and she immediately assured me I was beautiful the way I was, and I didn't need to lose weight. I told her, I know I am, but losing weight helps with my mobility. She began diagnosing me with an eating disorder, saying I must have a delusion. I was very heavy and having issues walking. I was starting to get really angry, and she sounded super condescending and blurted out she had no business talking down to me about my weight, even if it was to tell me not to change it. The other people overheard, and the girlfriend got really embarrassed and left with my friend soon after. My boyfriend thinks I should have explained why I need to keep my weight the same, but I don't think I should have to pull out my disability to get her to shut up. With long loose pants, it's often hard to tell I have a prosthetic leg. I don't know if she knew, but I didn't feel like justifying why my weight needed to stay the same. But am I the a-hole for shutting down her attempts to diagnose me with an eating disorder? Absolutely not. You shouldn't have to explain. It sounded to me like she was being way too invasive. It's not her business to comment on your weight. That is so strange. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law exactly what having a big family would mean for her? My husband is 42 male, and I am 38 female. We have 6 kids. 3 are biologically ours, 8 female and twin 6 male, and 3 are adopted siblings, 10 male, 7 male, and 3 female. We make a high 6-figure income combined, and are debt-free, as well as owning our own house outright, which is relevant. My husband and his brother were raised by very neglectful parents, and used to talk all the time about having a big family when they grow up. They were upfront with me and sister-in-law about wanting a lot of kids from our early days of dating. Sister-in-law and brother-in-law are starting to try for their first kid, and sister-in-law has been leaning on me for emotional support, which I am very glad to provide. Last Sunday, she asked me to be brutally honest about what it's like to have 6 kids. I told her that my experience will not be very helpful to her, seeing as how our situations are very different, and she asked me to explain. So I told her that I am an SAHM wife? What is that? Oh, stay-at-home mom. With a passive income in the high 6 figures, my husband makes over $300,000 a year, so we are lucky enough to not have to think about the financials when it comes to a large family. Same goes with childcare. I have 2 nannies. That is the only way I found to be able to give all my kids the attention they need, seeing as my youngest has health issues, and that even without those health issues, 6 kids are a lot of work without someone there. And finally, my husband and I were looking into adoption and surrogacy because pregnancy is hard on the body, so 3 was my limit of pregnancies, and that we were lucky that we were able to foster to adopt our 3 adoptive kids. But if we didn't, adopting 3 extra kids or hiring surrogates was going to be very expensive. Well, apparently, she talked with the brother-in-law and told him what I said, as well as how they should maybe space having kids more so they could give them a higher living standards, and now he is accusing me of manipulating her and being a jealous idiot who wants to be the only one with the big family. Was I an a-hole by telling her everything I did? It sounds like the brother-in-law is just jealous. That many kids sounds like a lot of work, and you're right, that would be expensive, so if she asked, and you told her, that does not make you a bad person. Am I the a-hole for cutting my pregnant sister off financially and telling her having another baby would be irresponsible of her? I'm 22 and she's 25. My sister, Mia's son, is 7 months old, and the father is not in her baby's life at all. He basically dipped the week after the baby was born. I've been supporting the both of them financially, while my sister Mia gets back on her feet and looks for a job to pay the bills all on her own. Fast forward to 2 days ago, she calls me excitedly, telling me she has big news. Deep down in my heart, I already knew what she was about to say, and my intuition was confirmed when she said she was pregnant again. She went on and on about how she met a new guy she hadn't told me about and how nice he treats her and the baby, that she really feels like he's the one and how she can't wait for the family she was supposed to have. I basically laid it out straight to her. She hasn't been dating this guy for very long, and yet she's already pregnant and wanting to marry him simply because he treats her and the baby nicely? He isn't helping with bills or providing in any way. This was not likely to last, and she'll be a single mum of 2. Not to mention how dangerous it is to get pregnant this soon after giving birth. She told me I was being fake, and that I wasn't acting like family, that I should support her like our mother is. Turns out, our mother is kissing her behind and only enforcing the rose-colored glasses Mia has on the situation, telling her stories of how our stepdad only knew her for 2 months before he married her, and blah blah. I told her that I can't support her or any other children should she decide to go through with this. I essentially said, I'm not pressuring you into anything, this is your choice, but I refuse to be financing this choice. You're on your own, Mia. I can't enable you digging yourself further in holes you can't climb out of because of irresponsible, unplanned pregnancies. And I refuse to. Of course, she didn't take that well. Started crying and saying how I just don't want her to be happy. How much of a horrible person I am, and hung up. Our mother isn't very happy with me now. I do feel bad. I don't think I worded it the best, nor should I have called her irresponsible. I'm just at my breaking point. Am I the a-hole? I don't think so, because you did lay it out properly in the fact that, no, this new guy coming into play isn't supporting her financially. You are. And with the new play of another child coming in, it means you are going to have to spend more money because of her decisions. I know it's exciting to fall in love and want to have another child, I'm sure, but she can't take for granted your support, and you are setting great boundaries here. I just hope it figures out for you. That sounds so stressful.